Welcome back to the final segment. Today has been such a great day spending time with some incredible people. If you haven't had the chance to join in yet, we've had the pleasure of hearing stories and good works from people like Darren Gray, Matthias Kiwanuka, Marlon Jackson, Amber Fields, Natasha Robinson, and David Sexauer. As I said, pretty incredible people. So if you haven't had the chance to tune in, we hope you'll go back and watch today's great recording so far. In our final segment today, we thought it might be helpful for you to actually hear from the CEO and founder of Donaide, Steve Roseman, as well as Courtney Luce, Donaide's customer success manager. Steve and Courtney, how are you guys?
Good, thank you. Good to be on.
Yeah, it's been a fun day.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite part?
Well, I got to say, I haven't, a lot of this allowed me to reconnect with Matthias Kiwanuka, as a good friend of mine growing up. And so it's exciting to be able to do some stuff with him. So I gotta throw that one out. I loved everybody, but it's been fun having these conversations with him. So
yeah. My family's huge football family. So I was a little bit geeking out when we got Marlon Jackson on because I grew up a big Colts fan. So that was fun, and just hearing the work that they do. And I love everybody, but Amber and Natasha have been some of my favorite ladies to work with just in general in Donaide. So it's always fun to hang out with them too.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you support Donaide in your role in just a little bit. But before we do that, Steve, just tell us about your background and why'd you found Donaide?
Yeah. So let's see, I'm 39 now, about to turn 40, unfortunately, in a month. But so when I was 28, I launched my first nonprofit in memory of my grandfather, who anybody who knows me, he's my biggest influence in my life, just an amazing person. And it was in honor of him. He had MS, before he passed. And so naturally, I wanted to start an organization in memory of him, focused on MS. I was very blessed right after I launched that. Some gentlemen invited me into a partnership. I launched a mobile bidding company. Then a year later, ended up founding We Do Charity Auctions, which is a mobile bidding company, was exciting for me just because I was able to help more nonprofits doing what I love to do anyway as a business owner. And just over the years, really identified that even though I launched my nonprofit in honor of him and focused on MS, I identified that it wasn't MS that was my passion, it was helping people. And so over time, I wanted to figure out how can I actually engage with these nonprofits more than their one event each year and help them become more sustainable. And I'll never forget, through that process of trying to figure out how I can help, really it was diving into people. It wasn't even the nonprofit side. It was learning that there's so many people out there that want to connect with the nonprofit world. They can't figure it out. And I know that sounds silly, but when they're looking for like family-friendly volunteer opportunities, I talk about that all the time because I have a 5 and a 3-year-old. It's almost impossible to get online and just type in family-friendly volunteer opportunity and it not be a food bank. And nothing against food banks, but my kids like to do more than, stack cans and hand bags of food. And so I know it's a great cause, but once again, it's just different activities because I want to teach my kids this way of life and giving back. And the moment I came home and started the process of creating Donaide was I was in church. I was listening to my pastor. I was compelled to tithe right then and there at the moment. And I never did. And so it was nothing more than I didn't want to stop listening. And so I wasn't going to pull out my credit card. I wasn't going to do any of that. But yet I was holding my phone, taking notes. And I was like, this is silly. And so came back home and then started to equate that same moment happens in the nonprofit world all the time. If you and I or Courtney, we're all out talking about various things, maybe grabbing lunch, and you reference something. And I'm like, yes, I would love to go to that event. So I get home, I forget the link. I forget what was the name again. And then I'm like, okay, I'll give her a call tomorrow. And then I never do. Then on Facebook, I see that you went to this great event. I'm like, what the heck? And that only happens about 100 times a year. And so I wanted to fix that. And so 6 years later, we're now here. with a lot of tech challenges because I'm not a tech guy. I'm usually the least tech savvy person in any room outside of my parents' home. But, it really just came down to I wanted to build a platform to help with connection and mobilize people. If we can use social media to sell things that are, I mean, I guess they're nice, but, don't always have purpose behind them. Why can't we do the same type of thing and build that kind of tech for our community? So at the end of the day, it really came down to I wanted to help a lot of people, and I knew I couldn't do it myself. So if I could figure out a way to help nonprofits serve their mission, essentially I get to help the people that I want. So
yeah, absolutely. And so 6 years later, you're here, Donaide's here.
yeah,
What exactly is it?
it's a platform to connect people and companies to nonprofit activities and their missions.
Mhm.
Really that simple. Obviously, there's a lot of complexity from a tech standpoint, but we made it really easy on the front end. So I use this example. Think of a wedding registry. Think of a baby registry. Our goal is for that nonprofit to say, this is exactly what we want, and this is where you can get it. And a donor, supporter, or company can go there and say, oh, I want to pick that one, and we're going to do that one. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it too, because not only does it help, like you said, your family go find something that's interactive and fun and engaging and tires the kids out so they'll come home and take a nap. But it also, I mean, because, as a parent, I know that's what it's all about sometimes. But it also lets organizations who need volunteers put that call out there and find people who want to do that work. Because sometimes as an organization, that's challenging.
Yeah. Well, and I want to be clear too, because I think this gets overlooked. I'll take blame for the messaging, but it's not always, and mostly it's not about new, right? So it's like my church, for example. I know they want and need my tithe. Outside of that, I don't know. So it's connecting even with the people who already care about you and helping them understand what you consistently have going on. So it's not, I want to be clear, it's not always about finding new, it's a continued support to build that relationship so that you do have a sustainable organization. Because even if you have 200 supporters, but if they all engage and love what you're doing and they're around you, you're going to be around for a while serving that mission. So
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know when we were first talking, and talking about Donaide and all the different sort of branches it has to help people, one of the things I thought was so cool, I worked for a company in Indianapolis for 8 years, and we had a huge charitable giving team function where every year we would support a specific organization. And I love that too, because it helps companies, and Indy's home to some amazing companies headquartered here. And it helps them find things for their employees to do.
yeah, no, that's awesome. I didn't expect that aspect to come out of it. I knew that tech was going to build that because of the connection piece, but I didn't realize until I was having conversations showing or companies that was a challenge. I just thought, oh, you're already using a tech that does it. They're like, no, we know how to get them signed up, but we can't find the things for them to do. Except for the ones that drop 200 employees on a charity in one single day. By the way, if you're watching this, please don't do that. No charity really, outside of a walk or a run, no charity needs that many people in one day. And I say that there might be one or two out there, but it's not a smart move. It doesn't, it stresses the charity out.
Yeah. Charities they're by nature, they're typically pretty short staffed, or they have very, tight employment. And so with doing something like that really kind of makes them work extra hard to figure out what everybody can do. It's better than not having anybody at all, but yeah, to your point. So you mentioned, what was that?
Photo ops, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, totally. you mentioned that you're the least tech savvy person in most rooms. And this is all built on tech. So I would imagine that it wasn't like one day you were just like, hey, let's do this. And then, the next day it was ta-da. So it was
Yeah.
definitely a long time coming, probably some hurdles to get here.
Yeah, like I said, 6 years. I mean, we actually launched a year ago. It was 2 months before COVID, but even in that 5 years, a lot of mistakes, a lot, and mainly because I was uneducated, even developing software, right? And then we had people that came in that I trusted that they didn't come through like they should have. And I'm not the only one. If you talk to anybody who's ever built tech, their first experience was, yeah, we went through 4 different companies that helped us do this. And then we started all over. I mean, I went through 3 development firms and had to start over. So after 3.5, maybe 3.5 years of working on it, I was back to ground zero. And so this last firm that worked with us, it was my last ditch effort of, I really believe in this. I think it truly can change the nonprofit world forever in the way that we interact. And so for the first time ever, because I self-funded, I went out and got a business loan. I've never had to before. And it was kind of like, if I'm going to do this, let's try one last time. And it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough that we can get to the market and start to show people, this type of technology. So, and I got to say, without Courtney, yeah, she took a lot of the stress of the tech side, because I knew what I wanted, right? Which were some of the most frustrating meetings I've ever been in. I watch tech people and they're all excited in these meetings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, when are we done? But she's super tech savvy, and so she was able to get in there and say, hey Steve, they didn't build what you said and we need to tweak this, and she was able to communicate that properly. So it's been great having her on board throughout this. So, because she basically came on right as that was a little bit after we finally found a firm that could get us running.
Yeah. Yeah. So Courtney, tell me about your background and what do you do as a success manager?
Yeah. So I have a background in nonprofits. I did fundraising and marketing, and let's be honest, wore every hat possible while working at that nonprofit. And because of that position and my role there, I met Steve, and it was, of course, like friend of a friend of a friend sort of thing. But very happy I did. I was sitting in a frustrating seat at the time, but a lot of that was coming from there. I always had a hard time finding technology that was beneficial to us, but also affordable. And so I was just in this really unique point of my life that I was frustrated by that fact. And then I met Steve and heard what he wanted to do with Donaide, and I just got really excited about it. Like I wanted to be a part of that and be that solution and like ease stress for other nonprofits who were sitting in that exact same role. So yeah, so that's kind of why I came on to Donaide and my background in nonprofits. And I love that I have that background, because anytime I'm talking to our clients, I'm able to bring a lot of that like experience and knowledge and honestly kind of comfort to them. Like it just, I can even right now, it's more hearing it in their voices than actually seeing them face to face, but being able to kind of see that like, oh, okay, you get it. Like that just release of stress, whether they are a current client or like we're hoping to have them as a potential one. I just kind of see that initial trust that starts to develop because of that. So I've loved that. I've always loved talking and meeting new people. So it's been a lot of fun for me to meet new organizations, see the work that they do, again, build relationships with the people and our clients. And so that's basically what I do in customer success. But yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned working with Amber and Natasha. Tell me about some of your most favorite projects.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pull out Natasha. I think she's great to work with just because she is a big, just like confidence booster. Like she loves Donaide. And I think we put in so much of our time and hearts and energy, obviously, not only into the tech, but also bringing it to nonprofits, that when you hear people like that that actually like what we have brought to them, it feels really good. So she's really good at making you feel really good. So it's great that she's in the role that she's in with Prevail. But I think just working with her and seeing the success that it brought Prevail in 2020, and I mean, she has said that even today, but that has just been really rewarding, because there are a lot of frustrating times, just like Steve said, working in tech and trying to make sure that we're bringing the best product possible. And so to see that product actually work, it's really rewarding. So
Yeah. And so, you know, your role is really pivotal in the success. I mean, you're a customer success manager, so your role is really pivotal. And I think that's one of the really cool things about Donaide is it's not just a tech platform where people go on there and it's like, it's not just like match.com. Like there's a tech element, but there's a customer service element. So can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, I think it speaks a lot that Steve decided to hire me on as his first employee, and that I was hired on as customer success. So I think that speaks a lot of what we're trying to do as a company, and making sure that service is first and foremost. I was just talking to a potential client last week, and one reason why they're trying to pivot from the technology they're on was her biggest headache was she couldn't ever get a hold of anybody. And I know when I'm in other technologies, like that's my biggest pain point too. So I never ever want people to feel like that, whether they are a free client or give us money. Like I want to be able to be there to help. And honestly, Steve probably can say this, I help too much sometimes, it's just a part of my nature. But I love that we're able to be a company that provides that, and has that as a like top priority, I guess.
Yeah, Steve, go ahead. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite part of the work Courtney does, or why would you work with Courtney if you were a client?
Well, it really stems back from WeDo, right? So when I launched WeDo, our entire service model was based off of, okay, I throw fundraisers myself for my nonprofit. If I can just fix my own pain points, we're good. Get to the stresses before the stresses happen. And so we built that company based off high touch, and service. And mainly because to me, so right now in the nonprofit world, there's a common trend of, you live and die by these big galas. So if you have a great gala, you're going to have a great year serving your mission. If it doesn't go so well, it's going to be a little bit different story. And so for me, knowing that, I didn't look at, oh, it's just a big fun party. It's like, no, we need to make sure that this goes off well, because there's a mission that's getting served based on what happens here. So if we could take the stress off the nonprofit, they can do what they're supposed to do. Engage with people, build relationships, and do that. They shouldn't be worrying about an auction item. So it really carried over to Donaide, which Donaide is designed to be a SaaS platform. So I'm kind of doing the opposite of what I'm supposed to do as a business owner. So most people be like, "Yeah, Steve, you're not going to make it." But if I can figure out how to be that SaaS platform with a service component, I think that's the best way. Because how do you even build a great platform if Courtney's not out there talking to the nonprofit saying, no, I love this tool, I don't like that one, that serves no purpose. Okay, well, let's get rid of the tool that serves no purpose, because I wanted to build a piece of software that was usable, right? The reason why I don't like a lot of tech is because there's just so much there. And it's like, well, it's like your phone, right? Most people only use like 10% of what their phone's even built for. Everybody's like, oh, it's the most powerful computer ever. I'm like, I make phone calls and take pictures. Like, I mess it up all the time, So what if we can just build a software that only has that in it, because we know what you're going to be using? So when I looked at it, I wanted to start off. I have a background in sales. I can't say I'm the best salesperson because I haven't done it, lately. But even if I sold 2,000 nonprofits, if there was no good service behind it, they're going to leave anyway. So to me, service was key. I could tell when I met Courtney, she had a true passion for the nonprofit world. And the one thing I've already identified that she was able to experience is I loved my nonprofit when I had it in memory of my grandfather, serving the MS community. It did not hold a candle to when I got to work with hundreds of nonprofits, different missions, different people. I mean, it was just amazing once I made that transition. We do. So giving her the opportunity to do the same thing, it's amazing to watch. And so that's, long story short, that's why we went service, with our number one. We can figure out if the tech's good enough. We know our industry. We'll be fine without having to go get 300 salespeople to scale a company. I'm not worried about that. So
yeah,
I want a result.
What was that? Sorry.
I want to give nonprofits a result and people a result.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And that's what I love about you guys is like, as you said, I mean, maybe you haven't done everything right by like the entrepreneur book, but it's because you're doing it for other people. You're doing it for the mission. You're not doing it necessarily for yourself as a business owner.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah. So what's next for Donaide? Now that you've had your official launch party 1 year later because of COVID, what's next?
Right. It's bringing the community together. It's the goal that we had from day one. It's mobilizing, people as a whole. We've got results for individual nonprofits and people in the system. So now it's really showing that bringing people together as a community is way more powerful than trying to do it all by ourselves, and way more fun. So yeah, you'll definitely see some things that we're doing outside of the tech as well in the next couple months. So we're excited.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think after a year of, being at home and not being around people, we can definitely say that being around people is a lot more fun.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. So,
Courtney, what are you most excited about for moving forward?
I think the same thing, just like really getting our hearts across, but like getting that value in front of people, like just being able to show people the value of relationships and the impact they can make when you truly do come together. And it's not like a competition between nonprofit versus nonprofit. Like it's just a full-on big community. And I'm excited to see that come to fruition and see more and more people get involved.
Yeah. Well, and Jennifer, like you, I know your background, and the one thing that I've always had a big passion with news and media and things like that. And I've always thought, it's like, what if we can make nonprofit success stories popular, and people want to see more of that instead of the negativity? And if there's one time in our culture, I guess, we need that positive news and that positive message right now.
More than ever. Mm-hmm. I think the 2020 decade is hopefully going to be about a lot more fun and a lot more positivity given what we've all gone through in the last year. So I think we can end on that. That's a good note for sure. So for everybody who tuned in today, everybody who watches it later, they go on, check out the platform, find your contact information, give you a call, schedule a coffee, virtual coffee. What else? How do you want them to connect with you?
Well, you can reach out to Courtney. There's links below, or myself. I'd love to talk to other, even consultants and other people in our industry. There's nothing more that I love, than helping people, than having conversations with innovative nonprofits, people who know that they have to continue. So yeah, you can Courtney at Donaide.com, Steve at Donaide.com. If you're listening in your car, well, don't write that down right now, but
easy to remember.
Yeah, there you go. So.
Awesome.
Definitely appreciate it.
Well, what a fun day. I'm so excited to end on this great note, chatting with the two of you, and you guys are doing awesome things. It's super exciting to be part of.
Yeah. And thank you, Jennifer, so much for being a part of this day and supporting Donaide. We appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks to everybody out there who's tuned in. I know we don't get to actually like see you face to face. That would have been the dream world, but this is the second best thing.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.